If you were stranded on a hostile alien world and one of your own tried to abandon the group, would you let them go or risk everything to stop them? For Ryan and the others, that choice wasn't theoretical. It was survival. The days since the crash had blurred together. Hunger gnawed at their bellies. Exhaustion dragged at every step. The heat by day was suffocating. The cold by night was bone deep. Their supplies had dwindled to crumbs, and every sip of water felt like a guilty theft from tomorrow's survival. Ryan felt it worst at night. As the others slept huddled against the wind, he lay awake staring at the alien sky. The stars seemed wrong here, sharp and unfamiliar, a cruel reminder that they were far from home. Trust was fraying. Ethan, injured from the crash, could barely keep pace. Maya tried to hold the group together with quiet logic, but even her calm was wearing thin. Evelyn prayed softly to herself. Marcus had grown bitter, snapping at shadows. And Zara had stopped hiding her contempt altogether. One night, as the fire guttered low and the desert wind howled, Ryan's eyes caught movement. A figure slipping from the camp, silent as a ghost. Zara. She had stuffed her pack, taken half of what remained of the rations, and now crept into the darkness. Ryan's gut twisted. He rose carefully, boots crunching against the grit. "Zara," he hissed. She froze but didn't turn. For a heartbeat, Ryan thought she might come back willingly, but then she bolted. He lunged, catching her by the strap of her pack. The two of them toppled into the sand, thrashing, fists striking, teeth gritted in desperation. Zara fought like a cornered animal. "Let go," she snarled. "You'll all die if you stay with them. I'm not wasting my life on weaklings." Ryan pinned her wrist, struggling to hold her down. "You think you'll survive alone out here? With no fire, no backup? You'll be dead by sunrise." "I'd rather die on my own terms than starve with you fools," she spat. The commotion woke the others. Maya's voice cut through the struggle. "What's happening?" Ethan dragged himself upright. Marcus swore under his breath, and Evelyn clutched her chest as she watched. Ryan shoved Zara back against the sand, breathing hard. "She was leaving," he said flatly. "With our food," the group erupted, Marcus cursing, Ethan groaning in despair. Maya stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Zara sneered at them all. "You're blind. Can't you see it? This place isn't empty. It's a graveyard. Something killed whatever lived here, and it'll kill us too. You want to keep pretending we'll make it out alive? Fine, but don't drag me down with you." Her words hung heavy in the cold air. Ryan forced himself to loosen his grip, but his eyes stayed locked on hers. "You walk out. You die. You stay, maybe we stand a chance. You want to gamble, Zara? Then gamble with us, because whether you like it or not, we're all that's left." The fire cracked. The silence stretched. Finally Maya spoke. "He's right. Like it or not, we're stronger together, even if trust is broken." For the first time since the crash, Zara's fire dimmed. She looked away, jaw tight, but said nothing more. Ryan released her, though his chest still heaved with anger. He could feel the fracture widening between them all. Trust was fragile here, and once broken, it was nearly impossible to rebuild. But in this world, without trust, they were already dead. Morning brought no relief. They marched across a plateau of jagged stone, stomachs growling, lips cracked. Every step felt heavier. Ethan stumbled often, Ryan catching him by the arm more times than he could count. The air grew thicker with each mile, charged with an energy none of them could explain. It was Maya who noticed it first. A glint of something half buried in the dust. She crouched, brushing sand away with trembling fingers. What emerged made her heart stop. A helmet, not alien, human. The visor was shattered, the metal scorched. But the markings, the faded insignia, the shape, were unmistakable. This had belonged to someone from Earth. The others crowded around, shock and dread rippling through them. "No," Evelyn whispered. "That's impossible. We were the first through the portal." "We had to be," Marcus swore softly, kicking at the dirt. "Looks like someone beat us here. And judging by this helmet, it didn't end well." Ryan turned the helmet over in his hands. Dried blood stained the inside. His stomach clenched. Whoever had worn this hadn't just died, they'd been torn apart. Nearby they found more, a rusted rifle, its barrel bent as though by unimaginable strength. A pack shredded and empty. Bones scattered like discarded scraps. The realization settled over them like a shroud. They were not the pioneers they thought they were. Others had come before, and perished. Maya's voice was quiet but steady. If others from Earth came here, why don't we know about it? Why was it erased? No one had an answer, but the unease only deepened when the sound came. A low, guttural hiss, Ryan's head snapped up. From the shadows of the rocks, shapes emerged. Tall humanoid, but wrong. Their limbs were too long, their skin a mottled grey-green. Their faces were narrow, with black, lidless eyes and sharp mandibles clicking in hunger. Primitive weapons, spears tipped with bone, jagged blades gleamed in their hands. The aliens, dozens of them, surrounding the group. Zara cursed under her breath, fumbling for the jagged metal shard she carried as a weapon. Ethan leaned heavily on Ryan, panic etched on his face. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The aliens studied them, hissing, their movements eerily synchronized, territorial, intelligent. Then, with a cry that rattled the stone around them, the first one lunged. The alien spear slashed through the air with a shriek. Ryan barely shoved Ethan aside in time, the jagged tip grazing his arm. Pain seared, but there was no room for weakness. "Form up," Maya shouted, her voice steady despite the panic flickering in her eyes. The group scrambled, weapons raised or what passed for weapons. Marcus hefted a broken metal beam. Zara brandished her jagged shard, Ryan a cracked length of pipe. Crude, desperate, but all they had. The aliens hissed, black eyes gleaming as they closed the circle. Their movements were coordinated, too precise for animals. These weren't mindless predators. These were warriors. The first attack came fast, a spear struck toward Marcus. He caught it against his beam, the force rattling his bones. With a roar, he shoved back, splintering the shaft. Another alien leapt at him from the side, only for Maya to swing a rock with deadly precision, cracking its jaw. Blood, dark and oily, sprayed across the sand. The alien shrieked, retreating into the shadows. Ryan ducked another blow, dragging Ethan with him. His pipe clanged against a bone blade, sparks flashing. He twisted, jamming the pipe into the alien's ribs. It staggered, clicking furiously before retreating. But there were too many. For every one they pushed back, two more pressed in. Zara fought like she had something to prove. Her shard flashed in the sun, slicing across an alien's arm. She kicked it down, snarling. But as she turned, another alien raised a spear from behind, aimed for her heart. Ryan didn't think. He hurled himself forward, slamming into her just as the spear thrust. The weapon tore across his back, hot pain blooming, but it missed its mark. They tumbled to the ground, sand in their mouths, hearts pounding. Zara's eyes widened. For a moment, the mask slipped. Shock, gratitude, and something she couldn't name. Ryan groaned, pushing himself up, blood running down his side. "Stay alive, damn it," he growled. She stared at him, then nodded stiffly. For the first time, there was no venom in her gaze. The fight raged. Evelyn, trembling, swung wildly at any alien that came close. Marcus was a whirlwind of brute strength, his beam smashing bones with every strike. Maya moved with precision, her calm focus keeping them from collapsing into chaos. But the aliens were relentless. Their hisses echoed through the rocks, their weapons flashing. Each one fought not like a beast, but like a soldier defending sacred ground. Ryan staggered, blood dripping from his wound. His arms burned, his vision blurred, but he forced himself to keep going. They had to survive. They had to. At last, after what felt like hours but could only have been minutes, the aliens hesitated. Their leader, a taller figure with bone armor draped across its shoulders, raised a clawed hand. The others froze. The leader's black eyes studied the humans, expression unreadable. Then, with a guttural command, it motioned the tribe back. Slowly, like shadows retreating into the night, the aliens melted into the rocks. Silence. The only sound was the group's ragged breathing, their hearts hammering in their chests. Blood and sweat streaked their faces, their clothes torn, weapons slick. They were alive, barely. Ethan collapsed against Ryan, gasping. They let us live." Maya shook her head, still gripping her rock. "No, they spared us. That's different." Zara wiped her shard clean, her hands trembling despite her attempt at control. Her eyes flicked to Ryan's wound, then quickly away. "They could have killed us all. Why didn't they?" Marcus spat blood onto the ground. "Maybe they're not done with us yet." The thought chilled them all. They limped back to the plateau edge, shaken and broken. The alien sky stretched above, mocking their survival. The hunger still clawed at them, The thirst still gnawed, but now something worse haunted them. They weren't alone here, and they weren't welcome. Ryan sat tearing his shirt into strips to bind his wound. His hands shook, but he forced the cloth tight. Zara crouched beside him, wordless, watching as he worked. Finally, she muttered, "You didn't have to do that." "Back there." Ryan glanced at her, sweat dripping from his brow. "Yeah, I did." For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence between them was different now. Heavier, but not as hostile. Something had shifted. Maya broke the quiet. She knelt near the discarded helmet they had found, her fingers tracing the faded insignia. "This proves it," she whispered. "Others came here. From Earth, and they died." Evelyn's voice trembled. "So what does that mean for us?" Maya's gaze lifted, sharp and haunted. "It means this was never an accident. The portal, someone built it. Someone sent people here before us." The weight of her words crushed the air. Ryan froze, his bandages forgotten. Marcus cursed under his breath. Ethan groaned and Zara's face hardened. If the portal wasn't alien, if it was human-made, then this wasn't fate. This was a plan, and someone somewhere had chosen them. The realization burned like acid. They weren't just survivors. They were pawns. Ryan clenched his fists, fury rising in his chest. Then the real question is, why us? The silence that followed was suffocating. The wind howled across the plateau, carrying the stench of blood and dust. Finally, Maya looked up at them, her eyes like steel. If humans built the portal, did someone send us here on purpose? The question hung in the alien air, colder than any wind, and none of them had the courage to answer. Night fell heavy. The alien sky burned with strange constellations, scattered like jagged scars across the heavens. The survivors huddled close to a dim fire, scraps of wood, brittle grass, anything they could scavenge. The flames offered little warmth, but the light kept the shadows at bay. Ryan sat stiff, back aching from his wound, eyes locked on the horizon. Every whisper of wind, every scrape of stone felt like the aliens returning. Marcus chewed at a strip of dried root, grimacing. "This isn't food," he muttered. "It's bark." "Better than starving," Maya shot back, though her voice carried no real conviction. She stared into the fire, her fingers tight around the dented helmet they'd found. Silence settled, thick and suffocating. Zara shifted, restless. Her eyes darted to the darkness beyond the firelight, then back to the group. Finally, she rose. "I'm not waiting here to die," she snapped. "Those things will be back. You all saw it, they let us live. That means they'll come again. Next time, maybe they won't be so generous." Ryan's jaw clenched. "Sit down, Zara." "No," she shot back. "You think hiding here makes us safe? You think clinging to scraps and chasing shadows is survival? It's not. I'd rather take my chances alone." The words cut through the group like a blade. Evelyn whimpered. Marcus cursed under his breath, and even Maya's calm cracked. "You won't last a day out there," Ryan said, standing now, facing her. "You walk away, you're dead." Zara's eyes flared, but beneath the defiance was something else, fear. "Better than waiting to be picked off one by one. At least I'd have control." "Control?" Ryan barked. "That's what you think this is about? You saw what's out there. Alone, you're nothing. Together, maybe we've got a shot." Her lips trembled just for a second. Then her mask slammed back into place. "I don't need saving." Marcus rose, voice hard. "You'll get us all killed with this selfish crap. Sit your ass down." The fire crackled, tension sparking with every flicker. Zara's chest heaved, her fists clenched around her shard blade. But before the fight could explode, Maya's voice cut through, low and commanding. "Enough." All eyes turned to her. She didn't raise her voice, but there was steel in her tone. She held up the helmet, its cracked visor gleaming in the firelight. "You want to run, Zara? Go, but you should know this proves humans have been here before. Which means someone sent us. We're not here by accident." The words froze Zara mid-step. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. Maya turned the helmet, showing the faded emblem on its side. "This isn't alien. It's ours. And it's old. Whoever came here before us, they died. But the portal..." She stopped, her jaw tight, eyes burning into the flames. "The portal wasn't alien. It was human." The silence was deafening. Ryan felt his blood run cold. Marcus's hand tightened on his beam. Evelyn buried her face in her hands, whispering a prayer. Zara swallowed, the fight draining from her. For once her voice trembled. "If humans built it, If this was done to us. She trailed off, unable to finish. Maya met her gaze, steady, unflinching. Then someone chose us. Someone opened that portal and sent us through. The realization sat heavy in their chests, heavier than hunger, heavier than exhaustion. Ryan finally spoke, his voice low and bitter. So we're not just stranded. We're experiments. The word hung in the air like a curse. Ethan coughed weakly, his voice thin. Experiments for who? And why? No one had an answer. The fire cracked. The alien wind howled, and above them, the stars seemed to watch, silent and cruel. Ryan looked at each of them, the fear in Evelyn's eyes, the anger in Marcus's, the cracks in Zara's mask, the steel in Maya's calm. For the first time, he felt the truth sink deep into his bones. They weren't alone, they weren't safe, and the real enemy might not be the aliens at all. The night dragged on, restless and cold. No one slept. The alien dawn came cold and grey. A thin mist rolled across the jagged plains, clinging to the ruins of what had once been a battlefield. The group trudged forward, packs light, bodies heavy. Every step was agony. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs. Exhaustion bent their shoulders. But it wasn't just their bodies breaking, it was trust. Ryan stayed ahead, scanning the mist. His hand hovered near the makeshift blade at his belt. Behind him, Zara trudged silently, her defiance stripped raw. She hadn't spoken since the firelight argument. Marcus muttered curses under his breath. Evelyn whispered prayers, and Ethan limped, his wound worsening. It was Maya who broke the silence. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "if we were chosen for who we are?" Ryan glanced back. "What do you mean?" She lifted the cracked helmet, still clutched tight in her hands. This wasn't random. The portal didn't just grab anyone. It took soldiers, scientists, survivors. It took people who could fight. Fight what? Marcus barked, bitterness sharp in his tone. "We can't even feed ourselves." "Fight them," Maya said simply, pointing toward the mist. The ground trembled. At first, Ryan thought it was his imagination, but then he heard it. Low, guttural clicks carried on the wind. Shapes emerged from the fog. Tall, broad, humanoid, but their skin glistened like obsidian, eyes glowing faint green in the gloom. They carried weapons, primitive yet deadly-looking jagged spears, tipped with crystalline blades. Dozens of them, surrounding, watching. The group froze. "Not the same as before," Ryan muttered. His chest tightened. These weren't beasts. These were something worse, intelligent, territorial, warriors. One stepped forward, taller than the rest, its gaze burning into Ryan's. It slammed the butt of its spear into the earth, the crack echoing through the mist. "A challenge. They want to fight," Marcus whispered. His grip tightened on his beam. Ryan's pulse thundered. They had no chance, no weapons, no strength. But running wasn't an option. Not now. The aliens moved fast, closing in. The leader lunged, spear aimed at Maya. Ryan reacted without thought. He shoved her aside, raising his blade. The alien's strike ripped through his shoulder, fire exploding in his nerves. But he held his ground. With a roar, he drove his blade upward, slicing into the alien's side. The creature bellowed, staggering back. The others surged forward. Chaos. Marcus swung wildly, barely fending off two attackers. Evelyn screamed, ducking behind rocks. Ethan tried to stand, but his leg gave out, and Zara froze. Her eyes widened, fear locking her in place. The alien spear arced toward her. Ryan saw it. He pushed off the ground, blood pouring from his wound, and threw himself between her and death. The spear tore into his side, but he didn't stop. He drove his blade into the alien's chest, shoving it back with everything he had. Zara gasped. For once, the walls around her shattered. She caught Ryan as he collapsed, dragging him back from the fray. "You idiot," she hissed, tears in her eyes. "Why would you—" "Because we don't leave each other." Ryan choked, coughing blood. "Not here. Not now." The battle turned savage, and just as suddenly as it began, the alien stopped. The leader raised a hand, snarled something guttural, and the warriors pulled back. They didn't retreat. They didn't flee. They simply paused, watching. The leader's glowing eyes burned into Maya. Then it pointed, not at them, but at the helmet in her hands. And then slowly, deliberately, it spoke, not in clicks, not in growls, but in broken, guttural English. "Humans." Again! The words echoed through the mist, heavier than any spear, deadlier than any wound. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Again? She whispered. The alien leader's gaze hardened. Not first time, not last. Then, with terrifying precision, the warriors melted back into the mist, leaving the survivors trembling, bloodied, but alive. Zara clutched Ryan's hand, shaking, her mask shattered. Marcus stared after the aliens, his face pale. Evelyn sobbed quietly, but it was Maya who broke the silence. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it cut like a blade. If they knew us before, then maybe this isn't just survival. She turned the helmet over in her hands, the human emblem catching the light. Maybe this was never an accident at all. The group stared at her, the weight of the revelation pressing down on them. Ryan, half conscious, whispered the words none of them wanted to say. Then someone sent us here, on purpose. The fire in Maya's eyes reflected the truth, and with it a new question. If humans built the portal, if this was all deliberate, who were they fighting the war against? The mist swirled, the alien world watching, waiting. The silence held a promise. The worst was yet to come. Humans built the portal. Aliens remember them. Someone sent the survivors here on purpose.